How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Gym Range podcast. This is episode 13. I'm Karl Heiser, joined by my co-host Alex Cervantes. We are brought to you by Vendetta Sports Media, and we have another week of college basketball stuff to talk about. First on the list, Mark Turgeon is gone. Mark Turgeon is gone. I felt like a kid on Christmas when this news came out. Really did not expect it to happen this week. I thought it would happen maybe towards the end of the season, not after 8 games in. And it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling because I think this was something that needed to happen for a couple years. Mark Turgeon's a great guy. He's a pretty good coach. He won a lot of games with Maryland, but I think it was definitely time for him to move on, time for the two to part ways. And now we'll see if we can bring in a coach who can elevate this program back into sort of national contention, because that was part of it. Part of it was that the fans, once you taste kind of the national championship feeling, the Final Four feeling, you don't
doesn't go away.
Yeah, you don't want to give that up. And one Sweet 16 in 10 years was not acceptable with all of the NBA level talent that we had come through the program. The likes of, Jake Layman, Jalen Smith, Kevin Herter. So, I'm happy with the Big Ten title that we had, even though it was a shared one. I'm happy with the wins that we had. But I think at some point it was definitely just, we needed a little bit more, I think, than what Turgeon was giving us, and it got to a breaking point. So thank you, Turgeon, but also see you later.
I got a couple questions for you about that hire, about, do you think, it's more immediate, but are you confident Danny Manning could get this team to the postseason?
I'm not. No, I'm really not. He, based on his track record with Wake Forest, not super confident. But honestly, at this point, we are. I think by letting Turgeon go, we are kind of punting on the rest of the season, and that's okay. We really have to hit a home run with whoever we hire next.
Yes.
So at this point, I'm willing to punt on this season if we can get the right guy in the door.
And speaking of hiring, Stephen A. Smith does his A-list thing.
Yeah.
Can you give me your top 5? Karl Heiser, Maryland, if you're listening to this, these are the people you need to go after.
Okay. My top 5?
Yes.
Okay.
In an ideal world, this is who. And don't say you wouldn't, but there were some Maryland fans saying call Mark Few. That's not going to happen. So let's hop over that.
Yeah, that was a little. There were
too many saying that. That's not gonna happen.
There were there were some interesting takes going around. There are a lot of Maryland fans who are delusional. I don't think I'm necessarily a delusional Maryland fan.
No, you're not.
There were some people, there were threads about hire LeVar Ball and stuff like that.
I need to find that because I didn't know. I must have missed that one, and that would make my day.
I don't know. But okay. All right, number 5 on my list is Juan Dixon. Okay. Maryland alum, won a national title with the Terps. He's now coaching at Coppin State. The reason he's number 5 and not any higher is because he's not exactly proven as a coach or a recruiter, even though I think the fan base would absolutely love him. And I think he would do a decent job of getting some of the DC kids to come to Maryland, which Mark Turgeon was never too great at. He's not a proven enough coach to me for me to be he should be the guy that we hire. So he's number 5. I think number 4 I would give to, I'd say a John Beeline type of guy. He's currently
79
as an advisor with
Okay.
Pistons. So he's not coaching right now, But back when he was coaching Michigan, they were always like very competitive and a very well coached team.
He's
So
soon to be 80 though.
I wouldn't mind. What?
He's soon to be 80 though.
Really?
I swear I thought he was like
I think he's
78.
no, he's like 68, I think.
Well, my bad, John,
Yeah.
for adding 10 years to your life.
Okay, number.
Oh, yeah, he is 68. See, look at that. I was 10 years off. That's not good. Anyway.
Number 3, I'd say Kim English can be number 3, the George Mason coach. But also, I do think we need to see a little bit more from him from a coaching perspective. So, but I like what he's done so far, and I think that he could be a solid coach. The thing with getting him though is I think to get him, you'd be kind of treating Maryland like a mid-major in a way, where like I don't know that the fans would be like Kim English is the guy that we want. I think they'd want a bigger name guy that kind of reflects the way that we feel about the Maryland job being like a top, 15, top 20 job in the country. So number 2, I'm gonna say like Mark Pope for number 2. I don't know, and these top 2 guys are not guys that I think are. I mean, they'd be absolute home runs. Like, I don't know that there's any way that we can really pry them away from the schools that they're currently coaching at. It would take, a lot of money probably for a buyout first, and then we'd also have to like convince them to come coach for Maryland. But Mark Pope has kept BYU very competitive in a conference that includes Gonzaga, and they're a consistent tournament team. That prioritizes like 3-point shooting, which if it wasn't any indication from this last game against Northwestern, Maryland cannot shoot at all. So I'd like to get a coach in who like people learn how to shoot.
In fairness, you were 5 of 12 from 3 in the first half.
The 3-point shooting outside of Hakeem Hart was still like 35%, which was okay, but I'm confused about how he shot 35% from 3 and 20% from 2.
It's just Northwestern's defense. I don't know what to say.
All right.
Elite.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball.
Yeah. So anyway, I love Mark Pope. And then number 1, I've seen this one floated out there quite a bit, which has gotten me a little bit too excited. I know that this is totally unrealistic. But Nate Oates.
Yeah.
Alabama. I've seen a lot of people bring up Nate Oates, and his buyout's like insane. And I really don't think that that's like, I don't know why you'd leave Alabama when you have them at a top 10 program in the country to come to Maryland, who is after this year, like, I don't know what we are. I really don't.
I mean, the argument for that is just Alabama is a football school through and through. That's never going to change.
Yeah.
You can get yourself to be a really good basketball program at a football school, which will have benefits because you have the money from boosters. You have all the clout that Alabama football will bring you. Nate Oates is starting to get clout with recruits. I mean, that backcourt, we saw what they did against Gonzaga. We'll get to that later. But this is unrelated, but I mean, Nate Oates' suit game on the sidelines is elite. And I mean, if you throw like the Maryland flag in there and he gets like a designer to have some creativity, I mean, could be cooking. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and that's another thing. That's a consideration too, because Mark Turgeon, when he kind of had a very it was a pretty basic but very distinct suit look back when he wore a suit. Like, COVID kind of killed the suit in college basketball. I don't know what that's about.
I like it. What do you mean?
What?
I like it. Don't wear a suit.
No, I know. Oh, well, I'm just saying. So we had there was a group of Maryland students called the Turgeonettes, and they would dress up like Mark Turgeon and like dance kind of like in the student section.
Nice.
That was like a thing, but now that's not a thing anymore. So like they need a rebrand, So if we got a guy with good suit game, I think that would benefit the students a little bit. But yeah, anyway, that's my top 5.
Solid.
I think, yeah, I'd be happy with any of those guys, but I do think that to really get this program where it needs to be, we need a big name guy. We need a big name guy. I've seen like Kevin Willard from Seton Hall thrown out a lot too, or like Mark Schmidt from St. Bonaventure. They're good coaches, but they don't really they don't move the needle for me really.
I saw one. What about Bruce Pearl?
I'd like Bruce Pearl. I think that'd be a good one. He's got I don't know,
energy. There'll be a ton of energy.
Yeah, he's got energy. He's got personality. So I think that'd be something fun because Mark Turgeon, really nice guy, but just like a little, I don't know, a little measured, like a little too dry. So I think we could benefit from having like a fiery guy. I've also seen Rick Pitino thrown out a little bit. I actually think that's maybe a little realistic because I don't think Iona is where he wants to stay
in his career.
Yeah, I think he wants to wind up at a bigger program. So I could see us prying him away from Iona.
Then he moves Maryland back to the ACC where they belong.
That'd be great, actually. I'd really like that. I don't know what kind of baggage we're in for with Rick Pitino.
A lot.
Probably, yeah, a lot.
Except from Jeff Goodman, but a lot.
Yeah, so that's something to consider too. But I don't know. I just want somebody good. That's really all it is. I don't want this to be after the year's over, we offer Danny Manning a 3-year contract. That can't be the end game.
I think he gets an extension. Not gonna lie.
I think he stays as an assistant and we bring in somebody who is a successful head coach. But anyway, let's move on to overreaction.
Yes.
Time, because there's been a lot of results over the last few weeks, and it's only been a few weeks, but I think it's a good time to overreact.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
100%.
Here's my question. Here's my overreaction question for you. Is it an overreaction to say that Memphis is awful? They've dropped. Okay, here
it is. It is not an overreaction to say that locker room is chaos, especially, I don't know if you saw it, but there was an athletic piece over the weekend from Seth Davis that he got an exclusive interview with Penny Hardaway. And Penny was like, some of the seniors are super jealous. And he basically said, I'm going to be an asshole now.
Yeah.
And so he was like, the seniors are jealous of the freshman talent, apparently. So I don't know if that's Alex Lomax. I don't know if that's Lesser Quinones being jealous of the touches Duran and Bates should be getting on any given night. I can't excuse Bates going 1 of 10 from the field. Duran only having 2 points. That's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good enough. He can't have 2 points in a night. He's a projected top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Bates is a projected top 5 pick in the 2023. It cannot happen. I don't think I don't think it's unfair to say Memphis is awful. Right now, they're playing horrendously. They're on a 3-game losing streak as a ranked team to unranked opponents.
Yeah.
One
of them was to Iowa State, who's now.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
Not ranked. Yeah.
Was Iowa State ranked when they played?
That's a good question.
They weren't.
I don't think they were.
They weren't,
before they were ranked. Yeah. But yeah, for context though, they've lost to Iowa State, who's unranked, and we picked them to be one of the worst teams.
The worst team
in the Big 12. They didn't win a conference game last year. They've actually looked good to start this year.
They really have.
I think we were probably wrong about them, at least thus far. But that's still everyone I think expected Memphis to be way better than Iowa State, and they lost.
Then 19.
Then they lose to Georgia without Aaron. Georgia didn't have Aaron Cook.
And you can't lose to Georgia. Oh my gosh.
We picked them to be last in the SEC.
Frankly, it's an inexcusable loss.
And then they lost to Ole Miss, who we picked to be 9th in the SEC. So
it's not great, but
it's bad,
anyway. So they are playing awful right now. I don't want to make projections about what they could be.
Yeah.
Because I assume the talent of Duran and Bates, wow, eventually figures it out.
Yeah.
But I'm still not convinced. Penny's an elite recruiter. He can get kids to buy in.
Mhm.
I'm not sure he can do it from the sidelines.
I 100% agree with you. Like, just based on talent, like just raw talent taken in and of itself, this should be a top 10 team in the country. You have two of the best freshmen in the country on the same team. Petty's never made the NCAA tournament. We thought this was going to be the year that he finally did that. He has the team to do it. And so now, you know, there's going to be serious questions asked about whether or not he is a viable head coach, because he can get the kids in the door, but he's not winning. They're playing like an AAU team, honestly. Like, they can't shoot free throws. They're turning the ball over a ton. Like,
which, in fairness to context for some people that may not know, Duran and Bates were both class of 2022 kids, and Penny got them to reclass and come to Memphis in like August.
They're raw
this year.
They're raw. Yeah.
So the talent 100% is there, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah. And it's going to run into, there's also going to be questions as far as their draft stock goes, I think, too, where it's like, at some, like, you see the talent, but at some point the play on the court has to back it up for you to be like, this guy's a top, 5, top 10 pick. So this could, have real ramifications for both Penny's future with Memphis and these guys' eventual draft position. So it's been rough for Memphis so far, but there's still a lot of time left for them to turn it around. But I don't think right now they're one of the best teams in the AAC. I think Houston's better than them. I think Cincinnati's better than them. I think Wichita State is probably better than them too, right now.
Tyson ETN.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a overreaction?
I have a lot of questions we can talk about.
Okay.
The first one is overreaction or not. The three best teams in the ACC right now on form, the way they're playing, are Duke, UNC, and Wake Forest.
Based on how they're playing right now.
So you've got 7-1 Duke, who just fell 5 points on the road to Ohio State. You've got UNC coming off a 17-point win against Georgia Tech and a 21-point win against Michigan. And Wake, who is 8-1, and clobbered Virginia Tech.
They beat Virginia Tech. They beat Northwestern in overtime.
Yep. Oh, that was sad.
Their one loss was to LSU. You went to that game, right?
I was there.
Yeah.
That was rough. That was sad.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need to rehash that.
I do think Duke and Carolina's starting to figure things out defensively. And so I think we're starting to see what that team can be when they apply themselves on that end. I mean, they still haven't beaten anybody. I guess you have to ask whether or not you think Michigan is all that good. But I
got another question. That's another one.
That's another one. So they've I'd give it to Duke, North Carolina, and
Louisville.
That's exactly right. I would give it to Louisville over Wake Forest right now. I'm just a little more convinced with what Louisville's done. They beat Mississippi State. They beat Mississippi State, Maryland. They kept it decently close against Michigan State. They beat NC State. So I just like their body of work better. I guess. I mean, they lost to Furman. Furman's a good team. Furman's like a solid team, but
it's a clear cut 2 in the ACC.
Yeah, I would agree.
We might be saying about some.
We always thought that entering the year.
I
think for Wake Forest, I think I'd be a little more convinced about Wake Forest if they didn't win in overtime against both Oregon State and Northwestern. Like, I think if they're really one of these top 3 teams in the ACC, I'd like to see them clear those teams by more than just like an overtime win. Like, Oregon State so far has not been good. They have not been good. So that's kind of that's just kind of my thoughts on them. But
Wake and Boston College to me are the two like surprise in a good way. Kind of, hey, we're here. Steve Forbes says that Wake team more relevant than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are saying that, so I don't think that's a hot take or anything. But just some other quick ACC highlights. Like Virginia, I mean, we knew it coming into the year they can't score. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, defense is still there. Clemson is becoming religiously good at blowing 8+ point leads.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it. They invent new ways to lose every game.
I hope they can figure that out because it is making it kind of sad to watch.
Yeah.
Because they blew a 15+ point lead to the Bonnies. Were they leading against West Virginia? I don't remember. I feel like they had a little bit of a lead against Rutgers.
I'll fact check these and then I'll let you know. But yeah, keep going.
I was just looking up the Rutgers thing. No, Rutgers, they were pretty much down the entire game.
Clemson was up by 9 with 15 minutes left in the West Virginia game.
See, there it is. Rutgers, they weren't really winning. And then Miami, they were up again by like 9. So that's an issue that quickly. But I've got another overreaction.
Okay. What is it?
Michigan is not a second weekend team.
Oh man, that's a really tough one because I mean, I will grant that they have not looked good. They have not looked good at all. They're 5-3 right now. But they've lost to Seton Hall, North Carolina, Arizona, and Arizona is actually really nice.
Arizona's legit.
They're legit. I'll give it to them. Tommy Lloyd has done a great job so far, even better than I thought he would. But not a second. It's tough to say.
Killed at Carolina though.
It's tough. They did. It's tough to say because they have the names, so you never want to pick against the names, but and defensively they're good. Defensively, they're a top 15 team in Ken Palm, but they also can't really shoot. Caleb Houston,
which is shocking.
It's crazy. Yeah, he just the shots are not falling, and I don't know why.
Because if you watch his tape at Montverde, the amount of looks he got from distance, you would just assume he was a top 5 shooter in his class.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm not ready to say. It all depends on the draw, right? It depends who they'd be matched up against, I think. But I'm willing to say that they're not a surefire second weekend team. But I'm not going to make that prediction now because I don't know who they'd be playing. So, here's an overreaction. Oregon is a middle of the pack Pac-12 team. Overreaction or not?
I was not as high on the Ducks as I think you were going into the season.
It's true.
So it's not as hard for me to say that.
Okay.
However, you do there's some semblance of my mind that believes just trying to stay level that Oregon and Dana Altman figured this out. But nothing that we've seen shows that. Legitimately nothing.
Yeah.
They lost to Arizona State.
Yeah.
I mean that could be the end. There's your answer.
Yeah.
Arizona State. Let's call it a night. Again, you don't want to kind of bet against the names, right? But
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's the thing, is because we've seen them do it before. So I think the assumption is that they've struggled at the beginning of the year before, but losing by 32 to BYU, who you're supposed to be kind of in a similar tier with, 12 to St. Mary's, who's fine, but a 29-point loss to Houston. Like they're not even clearing in these 3 games that I've talked about, 49 points, 50 points, 49 points. They're just not they're not scoring against good teams. And I don't know what the problem is there. Because they have all of our preseason, evaluations were really just based on what we saw on paper. And on paper, they looked like a great team. They looked like they'd be very good. And it just hasn't been that. And you want to have faith that Dana Altman can turn things around, but it's not looking good. Like right now, I'd take Washington State over them. I definitely would. That's on brand for me because I like Washington State.
It is on brand.
Yeah, I'd take Washington State over them. I take UCLA, USC, Arizona, obviously. It's just I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with the Ducks, but the thing is, like with these games though, before conference, the schedule really starts. Like these teams are running out of the Memphises, the Oregons of the world are running out of opportunities to receive the benefit of the doubt in a bubble scenario against good teams. So not saying that they will be bubble teams, like maybe they blow teams out in the conference schedule and then that answers that question. But if they don't, if this kind of carries over into the conference and then we're looking back okay, well, did they beat anybody notable in their non-conference? Well, no, they lost by 32 to BYU. So they're running out of the benefit of the doubt, I think, is what's happening. So
I got one more if you want it.
Okay, yeah.
So just setting this up, historically, it's pretty safe to say that if you go to Ken Palm the week before March Madness and you look solely at the teams that are top 20 in adjusted offensive efficiency and adjusted defensive efficiency, the top 20 in both categories, that'll give you a list of who the national title contenders are realistically. March Madness can throw that against the wall and it won't stick. But right now, and again, it's December, so you've got 4 months for this to change. There are only, I believe, 5 teams that are top 20, and I'm happy to read them off, and I want you to just react to who you think could actually win the national title.
Okay, wait. Yeah, wait. I'm looking at it right now. I'm seeing 1, 2. Yeah, just read them off.
Gonzaga.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Duke.
Yes.
Baylor. They've looked the part.
Based on what I've seen so far, I have to say yes.
And this is kind of a shocker. USC.
No.
Okay.
No.
Now, for some context, Purdue is the number 1 team in the country in terms of adjusted offensive efficiency. They're 28th in defensive efficiency. There are some, UCLA is 8th in offensive efficiency, 23rd in defensive. Alabama's 10th and 24th defensively. There are teams that are sitting on the periphery that should squeak in come March. That should give us a nice list of 8 to 10 teams.
Yeah.
But is it? I feel like it is. I don't feel like I need to ask a question, but it's an overreaction to say that those are the 4 teams.
I would agree. I don't if you didn't give me Ken Palm numbers and just asked me to name the 4 teams that I think could win a national title, I don't think those are the 4 teams that I would say.
We can do that too. Let's do that.
Yeah, I'd say if I had to give 4, not even looking at Ken Palm, I'd say Gonzaga, Purdue, Duke, and Kansas. Those are the 4. I'm not willing to give up on Kansas yet.
I'm not either, but I also don't like them, just personally.
Fair enough.
But so that makes it tough.
I was 34 in defense.
Yeah. I was saying it this season, before the season started, there's like, I might be willing to bump the number down. I had originally said there's like 12 to 14 teams that I could realistically see winning the Natty. I'd probably cut that down to like 8 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it's a ridiculous number. Like, I don't think we're giving Kentucky enough credit. They've handled business outside of an opening night loss to Duke, which will never look bad.
Yeah, right.
Like we saw Kentucky get a 2 seed in 20, getting killed by 34 to Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, great grand scheme of things, it's the first game of the season. But again, Purdue, right? Like, we knew that. Alabama, the Iona law.
I even forgot about Alabama. They look awesome.
The Iona loss showed us what happens when you run them off the 3-point line. The Gonzaga win, which was really impressive, shows us what happened when you don't run them off the 3-point line, which you have to do.
Yeah, you have to do it. They're too good. They're too good from 3 for you to.
And listen. Alabama took 17 threes, which is almost an average number in college hoops.
Mm-hmm.
That might be their lowest on the season.
Yeah, they're running.
They throw them up, and JD Davidson looks the part now. He's figuring it out, which is not good for the SEC. But bookmark Alabama, Kentucky whenever you have free time in like January or February. People who are listening, because you will want to watch that game.
That'll be a really good game.
And it could hit 80 with like 4 minutes left.
Mm-hmm. I think a good thing to talk about now, you sort of mentioned it, is what do we make of Gonzaga right now?
I think.
What's the take on Gonzaga?
This is one of those teams. Here's the challenge, right? Like, they really looked the part early in the season. They massacred Texas and UCLA. Then they lose to Duke by 3. The challenge is, I've yet to be convinced that this Gonzaga team outside of Chet really plays defense, like elite level defense, which you're going to need in the tournament. Mm-hmm. So that can become an issue for me. That has me pumping the brakes a little bit. Mark Few, Drew Timme, Andrew Nembhard are the last. Well, Mark Few especially, but those two too. They have earned the right for us to say they'll figure it out. We will give them, in my opinion, anyone should give them the benefit of the doubt until they say otherwise. Mm-hmm. And they have 2 losses. This is a really good West Coast conference this year, where I could see them dropping another 2 games in the WCC. Yeah. You could lose to San Francisco. You could lose to BYU. Maybe you drop to St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Like, that conference has potentially, if the Dons can beat Gonzaga, there's 4 teams.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that gets the Dons in a large bit. But I don't think it's too early to like say you're going to worry about Gonzaga. They're still 7-2. They did give up 91 and 84. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it was different styles too. They match up better with Duke and Gonzaga. Duke and Gonzaga was kind of looking at mirror images, frankly, when you look at the rosters. Mm-hmm. Alabama was never really going to be a good matchup, because if Alabama hit threes, Gonzaga was just going to try and run with them. When Alabama gets confidence, calling a night, because
believe me, I'm aware.
Yeah. So again, they've earned the right. They'll still a national title contender. If we're not, here's my thing. If we're not, like, if everyone still has Villanova in the top 10, like, really, like, Gonzaga's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Villanova has way more problems than Gonzaga does.
Mm-hmm. Gonzaga's still in the upper tier of teams.
They're going to lose games.
They just are, but and I don't think it was ever fair of people to think that they were going to be nearly as dominant as they were last year. Like, if you lose 2 All-American players, you're not going to be as good, like, just straight up. You don't have a Corey Kispert who's hitting 52% of his 3-point shots on 6 attempts a game. Like, you don't have Jalen Suggs,
clinical,
who's a just disgusting threat in transition. You don't have those guys.
You don't have Joel Ayayi.
Yeah,
we're talking about
like ultimate glue guy, can do everything on the court that you want. So when you lose those guys, you're not going to be as good, and that's okay. But they're still, I think, firmly within the upper echelon of.
They have to be.
Yeah,
they have to be.
So I don't want to overreact. While we were talking about this, though, to go back to the Alabama thing, I was looking at their upcoming schedule because you bookmarked the Kentucky game. Here's their upcoming schedule over December. Here's who they play: Houston, Memphis, Jacksonville State, Colorado State, Tennessee. That's three top 20 teams.
Thank you, Nate Oates, for scheduling those games.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be a light December. Thank you. From the bottom of my college basketball heart.
Yeah.
That is my Christmas gift. I appreciate it.
And notice I said that's 3 top 20 teams and Memphis. Because I think Colorado State is a top 20 team.
They're playing like it.
Yeah. They just beat St. Mary's very handily. Beat them by 16. They've beaten Creighton. They beat Oral Roberts by 29.
None of it's been close. Like they played Bradley close. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
And they had that crazy. I don't know if we ever talked about it. They had this crazy comeback win against
Colorado.
Northeastern. It was against Northeastern, where they were losing.
Northeastern, yeah.
They were losing by 20 in the second half and ended up winning by 10. So, kind of nuts.
Yeah, they're the first team that I've ever seen where, the saying, good teams win, great teams cover.
Yeah.
They won and they covered.
Yeah. The spread was like 8. So,
that should be solid.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't know if you want to switch segments just yet, but I feel like I need to talk about Duke Ohio State.
Yeah, we can talk about it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I again, because this is still a really good Duke team, and I think they needed this. They needed it. You got the number one. Again, we talked about it. I thought Purdue should have been one. I don't think Duke should have leapfrogged Purdue. But Duke beat the number one team in Gonzaga. Like, it made sense. I mean, we know this team really can't shoot it. It's been the Achilles heel of probably the last 5 or so Duke teams, starting with that Marvin Bagley, Grayson Allen team in 2017-18. But at least you had Grayson Allen and Gary Trent Jr. who could knock it down. That's it. Just so you've got Wendell Moore, who's a slasher once he gets to the rim. Paolo has no problem shooting it from distance, but again, he kind of short arms the threes. Mark, who's going to take up touches in the paint. Trevor Keels, again, kind of slasher. He can shoot it. We haven't 100% seen it in a stretch of games. And Jeremy Roach, who has not shot the ball well. So the biggest issue for Duke is that their backcourt in their 2 most recent games, went 5 for 24 and 7 for 22 from the field, which just can't happen. I rewatched it. Were there some questionable foul calls? Yeah. Had they been calling it like that most of the game? Yes. Is that a reality in basketball? Also, yes. You're not going to get every call on any given night. Bo Borowski certainly did not care that it's Coach K's retirement tour. He did not anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. It's too early to freak out, press the panic button. You're going to lose some games. Duke will lose to NC State for no reason this regular season, ACC conference season.
Because one of my questions for you was, I was looking at their schedule, and I think it's entirely possible they run the table in December and January. Based on like they don't play Carolina, they don't play Virginia.
Now that they're mad, yeah,
yeah,
they'll be mad. So, and they'll be coming off exams, so they'll be itching to play.
yeah.
They could run in December. You think they run the table in January?
That one's a little more questionable. I mean, December.
As a Duke fan,
you don't think so?
I'm gonna walk you through this.
Okay.
They travel to South Bend. That usually doesn't bode well.
Okay, so we're assuming they run the table in December because they play.
I can't even say they're going to run the table in December, but they have 5 games. It's entirely possible.
Okay.
Yeah,
so they go to South Bend.
Go to South Bend. Not liking that.
Really?
Should come back. What?
Really? Notre Dame hasn't looked good.
Yes, but even when Notre Dame doesn't look good, they turn into the 2016-17 Golden State Warriors from distance when they play Duke. So okay.
All right.
Okay. Upside, Duke is not traveling to NC State this year. Downside, NC State is still NC State, so it could happen. They then go to Florida State. I think they have a stretch where it's Florida State, Syracuse, Clemson, Louisville. I would not be surprised if they went 2-2.
Okay. I can see. Yeah. Okay.
They could go 2-2 in that stretch, in which case I would think they went 5-0 in the previous stretch in January.
Yeah.
In all honesty, this is a Duke team that shouldn't have more than like 4 or 5 losses come end of the season.
And finish as a a number 1 seed, 2 seed?
Yeah, they should be a 1 or 2. Like I don't they should.
Yeah.
With this schedule, they should.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now that I said that, they'll be like a 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It's okay though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll be at that Clemson game. So I swear, if they just need to win 1 game, and it needs to be that one. I'm not going to drive home sitting in silence with my Clemson family members.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we want to? I mean, you kind of talked about it, but does that Northwestern loss for Maryland tell you anything that you didn't already know?
It doesn't tell me anything I didn't already know. I already knew we can't shoot. I already knew, it was the first Danny Manning game, so I don't know how much that factors in. The thing is, even with it being the first Danny Manning game, we played exactly how I expected us to play. So I don't know that really made that much of a difference, but
Hakeem Hart stopped getting touches.
What?
Hakeem Hart, it felt like it stopped getting touches as the game cut down.
That's the thing that's inexplicable to me is once you see, Eric Ayala shooting 1 for 10 from the field. Hakeem Hart is shooting 6 for 9 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3. Maybe give it to the guy who's hitting the shots, who's shooting 66% from 3, 70% from the field. Maybe give it to that guy. That's why I wrote that article about getting Hakeem Hart touches, because he is the most efficient player on this team. He's a microwave guy. There are games obviously where he isn't hitting shots, but we've seen now 2 games where he's been super efficient. And for whatever reason, we just have decided that we're still going to give the ball to these ball dominant guards who are going to shoot a combined 4 for 20 and 1 for 8 from 3. And
that was close.
I just don't get. Yeah.
They're 5 for 24 and 4 for. They're 4 for 9 from deep.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand why we don't once we see that a guy's hot, we should give him the ball. So I don't understand. And Hakeem Hart has gotten better, every single year that he's been at Maryland. He's improved. The stats back that up. His shot efficiency in any metric you want to use, field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, true shooting, all of it. It's gotten better every year. And that's the kind of guy that I feel more comfortable giving the ball to, because it's clear that giving the ball to Fats Russell, 15 times a game is not a recipe for success. Yeah. So Fats Russell's an interesting case. I'm working on an article about him. right now. But he's an interesting case because he's fun to watch for people, I think, who don't know anything about basketball.
Yeah.
He's fast. He takes these step back threes. Like he drives to the rim. Like he does all the things that like you want to see when you watch basketball. But he's like, I don't know. He's so inefficient.
The thing, I feel like it's kind of similar. Northwestern had Chase Audige return.
Mhm.
It's kind of similar. Like I was talking to somebody. I mean, he's not an efficient player, but I mean, you were watching the same game as me. There were definitely some. Well, Northwestern goes late into the shot clock. Like there's no middle ground for Northwestern. They either go late into the shot clock or it's Boo Buie hoisting a three within 3 seconds of the possession.
Yeah.
So the challenge for this Northwestern team is going to be Boo Buie and Chase Audige are going to shoot the ball until they see it go in the rim. And arguably Northwestern's two best players and most efficient players are Pete Nance and Ryan Young, and one of them doesn't start for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So there's my little Northwestern spiel.
Yeah. As a Maryland fan, I'm not unaccustomed to ball dominant guards. Like I've seen Melo Trimble. I've seen Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Like those guys were not afraid to get their squeezes. Like they were not afraid to just chuck up shots. But it seemed like maybe this is just hindsight bias, but it seemed like they were actually way better at making them than, Fats Russell is. So I don't know. It was at least a little more palatable because I think they made a larger share of their shots. And also we had Eric Ayala to be that second guard, and he has not shot the ball well at all. So I don't know what the problem is there, but that's something that needs to be figured out because he was like picked for preseason, like all Big Ten
honors,
all Big Ten team. And he's, playing against Northwestern shooting 1 for 10. So that's something that needs to be figured out I think at this point, I'm comfortable with saying Maryland, just shoot for the bubble. Just shoot for the bubble. Like try to stay competitive with these Big Ten teams. Finish around 500 again if you have to, but just get to the bubble, and I'll be happy with that.
Maryland, Syracuse, 11 seed play-in, book it.
Oh, wait, that'd actually be kind of fun. I don't think I'd enjoy it too much because I already know that Syracuse would torch us from 3. Shades of the Alabama game last year, but and also I don't know how we would respond to the zone. I have no idea. I don't know what we do.
I didn't say you would win. I was just saying it's a possibility.
Yeah. So we'll see. You want to wrap up with Fraud Watch now?
I feel like we have to, right?
I feel like we have to.
I got a couple.
We have the fraud basket now. So that's an option also, is to officially put teams in the fraud basket. I mean, we are
Memphis.
4 weeks in. Maryland, Memphis.
This is me throwing Memphis and Oregon for the time being. I'm happy to eat my words and grab them out.
Yeah.
It's just me spinning in an office chair if I had one and throwing paper balls into the trash can.
Yeah. Okay.
That was Memphis and Oregon.
Okay, Memphis and Oregon fraud basket. But fraud watch, we got to go. Michigan, still on fraud watch. I think they were last week, but
I don't know if they were, but that's fine.
Yeah, Michigan. I mean, Maryland is still on fraud watch.
We can kind of take Illinois out the fraud watch, I feel.
Here's a take for you, because we kind of mentioned this earlier. Is it fair to put a team on fraud watch if you're not, like, if they've been good, but you're not convinced that they're actually as good? Like, I think that's a fair.
I think it is. I think we set the rules for this.
Yeah, so. Like, I don't think you have to lose to be put on fraud watch.
That's fair.
So I'm putting USC on fraud watch.
Oh.
Because I don't think I think they're frauds. I don't think they're nearly as good as their efficiency numbers indicate. I don't think they're nearly as good as their record indicates. Like, they haven't really played anybody. They had a really good defensive effort against San Diego State. That was a really ugly game. Beat Utah pretty convincingly. Beat Washington State by 2. I'm not sold on this edition of USC quite yet. I really want to see them match up against maybe not a UCLA, but like in Arizona. Like I want to see the USC Arizona game. I think the jury's still out on whether USC is. I think the jury's still out. So I'm putting them on fraud watch because I'm not convinced.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything like that where you're like, I don't know?
I mean, honestly, before that Gonzaga game, I would have said Bama, but I'm not gonna anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
For all the right reasons.
I'll throw one up. What are your thoughts on Wisconsin?
I like Davis. I mean, I feel like it's hard not to, but I really don't know what to make of them. I'm not gonna lie. Because they go to Davis so often and he's scoring fairly efficiently.
Brad Davison.
No, Johnny Davis.
Oh, Johnny Davis. Yeah.
That's what I meant.
No, you're right.
You're good.
You're right.
They have a ton of winnable games. They're better than I thought they'd be. It's tough, right? Because I haven't watched enough of them. I caught some of that Marquette game, and Marquette would battle back a little bit, and then it would be Gonzaga taking it, or not Gonzaga. Why did I say Gonzaga? Wisconsin taking it the rest of the way. So,
yeah,
I haven't watched them enough to just not put them on fraud watch. They're good.
Yeah,
they'll threaten some teams. They'll threaten Purdue probably for a little bit.
I'd agree. I think that'll be a competitive game. I mean, they did beat Houston. They're beating good defensive teams. They're beating Texas A&M. They're beating Houston. They're beating St. Mary's. So
Arkansas is undefeated. I'm not 100% sure on them. Not gonna lie.
If you asked me to tell you what their record was, I don't know that I would say that they're undefeated.
Exactly. So they'll likely be undefeated come the end of the month. Come the end of December. The only games I really see them potentially losing, are either Oklahoma or Mississippi State. And those are very winnable. They'll be favored.
Yeah.
So how about Oklahoma though? How about Porter Moser?
Yeah, they had a good win against Florida this past week.
7-1.
7-1 with wins against their 1 losses to Utah State. That's kind of cool.
Not a bad loss.
Yeah. Utah State's good.
They've got a chance against Arkansas on Saturday.
Yeah.
So they got Butler too in the Big East Big 12 battle.
Yeah. It's tough to say because you can only play the teams that are on your that are on your schedule. I recognize that, but also November, it's not like they scheduled anybody crazy. Utah State was, I think, their best opponent, and they lost. So yeah. Oh, well, I guess Florida.
They scheduled Florida.
Yeah, they beat Florida. So okay. I don't think where did we pick them? We picked them kind of low in the Big 12, right?
Oklahoma, I had them 7. I was higher on you. I was higher on Oklahoma than you were.
Okay. Yeah, I think I had them 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah.
Because I guess I just thought, I have a lot of faith in Porter Moser, but I didn't think that this was
the roster,
the immediate success type of year.
Yeah, Harkless Groves, yeah.
So
if it would work out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to do it for Fraud Watch.
I mean, Clemson leads and Duke 3-point shooting. I'll throw those in the basket.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of any more. Clemson leads on Fraud Watch. Yeah, that's good. All right, cool. That's going to do it for us. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for watching. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify so that you don't miss an episode. Follow us on Twitter at GymRangePod. We have a lot of fun on Twitter. We'd love if you guys would join in the fun on Twitter. We have a lot of great content coming your way later, whether that's new episodes, whether that's, random Twitter stuff, whether that's written articles on vendettasportsmedia.com. So be sure to, stay in the loop so you can see those. But I think that's going to do it for us. For me, for Alex, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.